Okay, well, we're gonna get started. Thanks everyone for joining our second session of our series, uh, on to the next frontier. Today we have a awesome presenter and presentation. So we're gonna talk about, if you wanna go to the next one, marketing strategy concepts. So we're gonna take a step back a little bit. Not so, all the time technology, technology, technology. But what about what really makes a marketer? What are important strategy concepts that any marketer should know to be prepared to tackle, and then the technology will just supercharge those powers. Um, so I want to start by saying thank you, um, to all of you that are joining, all of the people that help put this series together. The How to SFMC community, the Cleveland Marketers Group that Tom and I lead, but most importantly, all the speakers, as like Julie, that volunteer their time and expertise and experience to share the knowledge with the community. So I really appreciate everyone today, and always appreciate it. So a couple of housekeeping items. Oh, I see people from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Very nice. So a couple of housekeeping items. Will this session be recorded? Yes, all the recorders will be uploaded in this YouTube channel. After the session, I'm gonna send an email to everyone who registered and attended with additional material. If you have any questions during the sessions, please put them on the chat window. We'll have a Q&A section at the end of a presentation where we'll try to tackle most of the questions that anyone makes. If you want to connect with all trailblazers in the community, the How to SFMC community has a Slack channel. And you can connect there, ask questions, and and whatnot. And then in this URL, you see also the links to the next sessions that we have on the series, as well as a slide deck. So we have a lineup of really exciting presentations by different people with a ton of experience in the community. Today, Julie is gonna be presented, and then next week we're gonna have Greg Gifford, who is a Salesforce MVP, giving us an introduction of Marketing Cloud Next. And then we're gonna start diving deeper and deeper into the multiple different concepts that you should be aware of, and resources, and you should start learning to be prepared for set yourself for success with the next generation of marketing products. So we're going to talk about Flow, Data Cloud, Agentforce, and whatnot. So every week, pretty much, we have an expert talking. We're going to have more sessions, I think. I don't want to safe harbor statement, forward-looking statement here. We might have more people continuing the series. But with that said, I want to pass the mic to Julie, and go for it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Pato. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I couldn't be more excited to spend this time with you to talk about my favorite topics, which are marketing technology and the intersection of innovations in MarTech with the roadmap of Salesforce. I've built my career around it. It's my favorite thing to talk about. I could go on and on. Pato said you're cut off after an hour, so we'll stick with that. But super excited to be here. So marketing technology onto the next frontier. To me, that sounds very Star Trek-y. I can't help it. I'm a nerd. I'm in MarTech, of course. I'm a nerd, and I can't help but think, next frontier. We're traveling where no man has explored before. We're covering new realms. I think that as you learn more about Marketing Cloud Next, and the fact that it's not just another new tool, it's really going to help you reimagine the way you do marketing from the ground up. It really is very, very Star Trek to me, and exploring bold new frontiers. if you joined us last week, we had some references to the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I was trying to think of a tie-in between MCU and Star Trek, and I couldn't really think of one. I think all of that really means is if you keep joining us every week, eventually we'll mention your favorite fandom. So yeah, keep tuning in. A little bit about me before we get started. In addition to a MarTech nerd and just a nerd, I am the head of strategic consulting at ListEngage. ListEngage is a longtime Salesforce partner. We specialize in data solutions and AI solutions. We also do quite a bit around customer experience and marketing. In fact, we're one of only a few full stack marketing partners. And we help clients with everything from implementation to strategic services to training to ongoing support. And I lead several teams whose responsibility is to think visionary and help clients with their Salesforce roadmaps. I've been a Salesforce consultant for about 15 years, been at ListEngage for 6 years. Prior to that, I've been in marketing and communications. Still very much consider myself a marketer. I live in Cleveland, and I'm very active in the Cleveland marketing group that Pato mentioned. I have 2 teenagers, which still kind of blows my mind, and a puppy. And when I'm not marteching, I really enjoy travel, fitness, roller coasters, concerts, museums, cooking, pretty much anything except for sports. When those sports analogies come up, I just sort of smile and nod and pretend to get it. But let's get into the marketing strategy concept. So before we do that, though, I did want to go back to one thing we covered on the last session. If you didn't join us last week, I wanted to just orient everyone in what is Marketing Cloud Next, so that you have some context for the strategy concepts that we're going to get into. So Marketing Cloud Next is not the name of a new product. It is an umbrella term meant to describe the next generation of marketing tools that are going to be available to all of us through Salesforce. So it's a category of products. And at the foundation of that is the new Marketing Cloud. The new Marketing Cloud sits on Core, and there's a Growth Edition and an Advanced Edition. So this is a new tool. It's not the old Marketing Cloud engagement, or I should say the legacy, or the legacy Marketing Cloud account engagement. This is a brand new solution. And then Marketing Cloud Plus is a term that essentially references SKUs. So if you're using one of the legacy tools and you want to add on to what you're doing with some of the new capabilities, you would talk to your account executive about the Plus SKUs. Beyond that, there are tools outside of Marketing Cloud that are next-gen marketing tools. So there's Salesforce Personalization, which offers real-time personalized experiences on the web. There's Marketing Intelligence, which is an analytics tool, and then there's Loyalty Management. Now, what all of those tools have in common is that they all sit on CRM. They all are powered by Data Cloud as the foundational data piece, and they all have an agentic layer. That's what makes them all next-gen tools. So thinking about the strategy concepts and how those tie into this next-gen approach and this reimagined way to do marketing, as I was thinking about it, really, truly the concepts themselves, the strategy concepts are not new. What we're trying to achieve as marketers really looks very similar to what we've been trying to achieve for decades. I have a quote here from Seth Godin, who literally wrote the book on digital marketing in 1999 called Permission-Based Marketing. And he's one of my favorite thought leaders. And Seth Godin said, "Persistent, consistent, and frequent stories delivered to an aligned audience will earn attention, trust, and action." And I love that quote because it really sums up what we're all trying to achieve from a marketing perspective. However, the actual execution of Seth's vision is getting harder. Perhaps some of you, as I do, follow the Chief Martech marketing technology landscape that has been published every year since 2011. what Chief Martech does is they basically put on one page, these are all of the different possible components of a MarTech stack. Everything from enterprise solutions to data management tools to point solutions. They plot it all out. And this is what it looked like in 2011 when they first published this. Fast forward to where we are today. You thought the last one was an eye chart. Like, the growth that we've seen is just kind of mind-blowing. 100 times the growth, and now we have a whole new category of AI tools. We have more data than ever. We have more systems than ever. And here's the other thing, client expectations are higher than ever. I think we've all probably seen research around this. I'll give you a real quick personal anecdote on this. So my father-in-law is 90 years old, and he recently bought a birthday gift for my daughter. And he bought it online. He's very comfortable doing that, which is cool. But he purchased this gift, and then he got a hold of me shortly after, and he said, Julie, I'm worried. I bought this gift, and I didn't get an email confirmation or a text confirmation. Do you think this is legit? And it, you know, I just, like, that really occurred to me, like, wow, these expectations for that seamless cross-channel marketing experience are cross-generation. They're embedded in all of us. And we really have to get it right to succeed as marketers. So all of this is getting harder, but the good news is that technology should make it easier, right? Salesforce has created these next-gen tools to help make it easier, to help make it achievable and possible with all of the noise, with all of the data, with all of the systems. What they're doing really is streamlining what we're doing so that we can achieve the Seth Godin vision, right? And so how do we do that? Well, we can't keep, like, we could, but Salesforce is taking the stance, we shouldn't keep patching on to the tools we have. We shouldn't keep working through connectors, pinging files back and forth. We need to get all of our customer experience assets and data and so forth on one platform with one common workflow across departments, with one common data set, and with an agentic layer. We've got to have AI in here to make everything that we're doing scalable. So all that's not to say that it's going to be easy, that you're not going to have to learn new skills that you haven't learned before, that your job won't change, right? Or that we're not going to have to take a look at how we're doing marketing. And I say that in quotes, right? Because I think even what it is to do marketing may fundamentally shift as we reimagine what marketing really is, which marketing now can encompass anything and everything under the customer experience umbrella, because we are breaking down these silos. So it's not promised to be easy, but it is growth. This is growth. This is how we get to making this possible and achievable and meeting our customers' expectations and exceeding them. So let's dig into these marketing strategy concepts. And as I was researching this, I was reminded of the 4 Ps of marketing. And especially if you went to school for marketing, this will sound familiar to you, right? So this concept has actually been around, it goes way back to the 40s. Where a scholar came up with the 4 Ps of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. So this was widely accepted for a while, and then a couple decades later, somebody raised their hand and said, well, no, actually it's 5 Ps of marketing. We need to add people in there. And then a little while later, there was an article written. They were like, well, no, actually it's 6 Ps. And then somebody else chimed in and said, no, it's 7, and continue. Up until I found this article where somebody proposed, no, there's actually 44 Ps of marketing. And then I just stopped looking. As I read through all of these different Ps of marketing, there are some consistent themes throughout. So we'll just go into the consistent themes. If I was more clever, I probably would have put Julie's 10 Js of marketing or something like that. But we'll just go right into the consistent themes. And as I go through each, I'm not going to spend a lot of time defining the terms. I assume that you join this session because you are a marketer. You're probably pretty familiar with what all of these are. So we're just really going to focus on what the implications are for this next gen set of tools. And the other thing I'll mention is we're keeping this high level for this session. There's going to be webinars following that will go way deeper into how do all of these new features work, and so forth. So keep tuning in. All right, so we start with segmentation. Segmentation is all about knowing who our customers are, keep continuing to learn who they are, and enriching what we know from a data perspective, and continuously fine-tuning and improving our targeting. Data is king, right? We've heard it many times. So what does that mean for the next generation of marketing tools? As we said, the Marketing Cloud Next, one thing it has in common is one thing that all of the tools have in common is we are using one common data source across all of those tools, which is Data Cloud. So having that one data source with unified profiles and the right metadata is going to help us know who our customers are and refine our targeting. And then also with Data Cloud, we're putting that data into the hands of marketers directly. You know, gone are the days of IT owning the data and cutting files for the marketing department. I mean, we started to see that shift about 10 years ago when CDPs entered the space. Data Cloud is a CDP, but it's much more than a CDP as well. So we've got that within these next gen set of tools. The data is available and easy for marketers to access. You don't have to be a data scientist in order to create segments. You can actually, and you'll see this in coming weeks, you create your segments on the fly as you build out your customer experiences and flow. And then continuously learning about our customers and updating what we know about them. Form capture, right? Form capture sounds like a simple concept. That's something we should already be good at, but with the legacy tools, there are pain points. And so you're going to see where the next gen set of tools is allowing for easier build of forms, easier capture of data, and aligning the new data into our existing customer profiles. Okay, next we have personalization. So we know who our customers are. We need to speak to them as individuals and continuously be delivering relevant information. So this all comes down to data too, right? We want to know who our customers are, have the data profiles, have that single view of the customer that we've been looking for so long. And then it's about having personalized language, offers, and content. So with the Salesforce personalization tool for the web, we're going to be able to personalize our messaging with influence from AI to make sure we have the right message to the right people. Also, there were release notes that came out, in case you missed it, 2 days ago on the 15th around some new functionality for Marketing Cloud Next. Was super excited to see reusable dynamic content blocks. So I think the features around personalization, Marketing Cloud Next, we're going to continue to see upgrades in this area. But yeah, so we've got our ability to personalize. Next is make it a two-way dialogue. So one of the features that's most exciting about the new Marketing Cloud Advanced Edition is the ability to do two-way conversational SMS. You know, personally, as a marketer, I'm going to be super excited someday when people are no longer talking about email blasts or SMS blasts. I really feel like we should try to not blast our customers and prospects. We want to engage them and deliver relevant content and have a two-way dialogue. So conversational SMS here is, I think, the entrance into it. I believe we'll see more on the in further release notes and further announcements with around this concept of two-way communication. And then appearing on the channels that your customers care about. So both online and offline. So another one of the exciting features of Marketing Cloud Advanced Edition is the addition of WhatsApp as to one of the standard channels. WhatsApp getting more and more important as marketers are more often having international customers and prospects. But in addition, I really feel like this online and offline journey orchestration is so important and impactful. Because we've got one, everything sits on CRM and we're moving into one workflow. That means that you'll, more than you ever have been able to before, be able to orchestrate customer experiences that are both digital and offline in terms of sales interactions, in terms of customer experience interactions. So truly getting that seamless experience, no matter what the channel is super important to personalization. Okay, if data is king, content is queen. We've all heard that before. So content is super important. We need to know our value proposition as marketers, state it clearly in our brand voice, and make the right offers to the right people. So another exciting thing about Marketing Cloud Next is a global CMS that's going to allow us to establish our brand voice and tone in a broader way than we've ever been able to do before, which ties directly into AI capabilities too, right? So we've established our brand voice. We can build out campaign briefs and have AI help us build out content in our brand voice. This is so exciting. I know that some of my clients have expressed some concern, like, oh, if I start using AI tools for my creative, does it become commoditized? Do I start to lose some of, what I'm bringing to the table from a creative perspective today? And, what I tell my clients, and probably some of you have heard this before, is creative is still super important. That's not going away. Maybe it's more important than ever in the advent of AI to have a distinctive brand voice and creative attached to it. However, strive toward the 10-80-10 model. And what that is use your creative talent that you have on your team to devise what your messaging is, to think outside of the box, to think about what your brand voice should be, and then write those prompts and give AI the guidance. Then the 80% of that work can go to AI, right? Your AI engine can do the heavy lifting of actually creating the email, for example, creating the landing page. And then that 10% at the end is having your creatives come back in and fine tune. We don't want AI to do everything for us. It's not there yet, the technology, and if it was, we wouldn't want that. We want our smart creative talent still involved. But imagine, how much time your creative team will have if they've got 80% freed up to be more prolific and do more. And even if you're 33, right? 33% of time freed up is huge. And then finally, offer management, right? So the right offer to the right customer at the right time is so important. And so many organizations are still doing offer management in a manual way. Well, with the tools in Marketing Cloud Next, specifically the loyalty management platform, we now have the opportunity to use data and segmentation alongside AI recommendations to automatically generate the right offer to the right person, which is so important in a couple of ways. Number one, you don't want to send an offer that doesn't make sense for an individual, like, oh, they're offering me this and I already bought this, something that's a disjointed experience. We don't want that. But then also, if you're throwing offers out there to, for example, somebody who's already going to buy the product, you're leaving money on the table. So offer management, so important, and it's really something that should be automated. Channel and cadence. So meeting customers where they are, asking for and then respecting their consent, and messaging our customers and prospects when and where they want from you. Okay, so the next gen tools are really going to help us from the perspective of having all of our channel content segmentation and deployment through one platform, like we talked about, one workflow, and having our journeys, our customer experiences now orchestrated through Flow is really, a much more powerful engine than what we've traditionally had in legacy tools. So for example, with journey orchestration through Flow, we can now have those customer experiences triggered by many more various types of signals than ever before. We can have AI enhance what those journey experiences are, throughout various touch points. And as I mentioned, orchestrating across online and offline is super powerful. Test and optimization are so important to channel and cadence, right? And with our AI tools that we're going to have in next-gen products, that optimization is going to be built in a level that we've never seen before. And then consent management. So the next-gen tools are really going to have marketers able to do consent management in a different and better way than ever before. So we're going to be able to manage consent centrally to the enterprise versus having it be something that we have checked and suppressed people during the last mile execution tool. We're going to have consent be central to our enterprise, which is going to protect us and protect our customers' requests. Okay, and then process and people. So for me, this is the one where it's potentially the most disruptive to an organization, the process and people implications for this new reimagined way to do marketing. It's going to cause the most change, the most disruption, the most concern maybe, but this is also the biggest area where businesses can improve their ROI, improve the effectiveness of their marketing program if you do it the right way and pay the process and people, pay attention to it as much as you should. So process and people, this is all about having the right process and people and tools to make it realistic and executable for your organization. So next gen tools, we've been talking about it, right? This is inherent to the value proposition, one platform, one workflow, breaking down organizational silos and working with your teams in a potentially a different way than ever before. One data set, right? So if you don't already have shared data and governance rules around that data, that's something that your organization will have to think through. And then an agentic layer, right? So in the future, we're not, or maybe the present, right? If you're an early adopter, our coworkers are going to be humans and agents. And so there's all new rules of engagement to think through about how that works from a process perspective. So as we think about how do we optimize departments and roles, what we recommend to our clients is as you're looking to do your technical implementation of these Marketing Cloud Next tools, you also want to be thinking right alongside that about having a well-planned change management program. So a change management program is all about having organizational adoption for the new tools, for the change. And it encompasses things like we need to have our stakeholders aligned. We need to have a well thought out communications program so that everyone's aware of the change, bought into the change, understands the value of the change, understands that their roles may change, but they're still, your team members are still super important. It's just going to look different. We need to have a training program. Change management is something that we're really passionate about because as over the years, as we've done a lot of digital transformation projects, what we've seen is that when digital transformation projects don't end up sticking, if the technology ends up getting abandoned and people go to their old ways of working, it's very rarely because the technology didn't work. 99% of the time, it's because there wasn't a change management program in place. And people generally tend to be change averse, right? If they don't understand what's in it for them, what it means, how to use the new tools, it's easy to just kind of go back to the old ways of working. So you may be wondering, right? We've got marketers on the line here. How is my role specifically going to change? And I'm a big fan of this framework that was published in MarTech, because I'm not a big fan of titles, right? If you've got a title, that could mean one thing at one organization and something very different at another organization. So instead, I like this framework because if you think about your role in marketing, this maps out different responsibilities across two axes. First, think about, is your role more internally oriented, or are you working on things that are more customer facing or externally oriented? And then the other axis is, are you more focused on process or technology? And so if you think about kind of where you sit in the lens of all of that, you're going to appear, somewhere within this framework, and where you sit exactly is going to dictate which of the next gen tools are most impactful for you and how impactful for you. So for example, right, if you're an analytics architect, the ability to now work with both structured data sources and unstructured data through Data Cloud, that's potentially huge, right? You've got access to a lot of data that you didn't before to be able to make your analytics all that much more meaningful. On the other end of the spectrum, if you're a content creator, that's less impactful for you, but you're going to get a lot of change and impact and ability to be more efficient through the AI for content creation piece. I think there's impact across the board, but this, I think, gives you a glimpse into exactly what kind of change to anticipate. So for organizations thinking about, I want to do the people and process piece correctly, I want to think about change management, how do I get started? And this could be a whole other webinar, but I really feel like it starts with, as an organization, taking a big step back. I'm going to say 2 big steps back. And this is something that, ListEngage or a partner could help you with. This is something you could do on your own. But you kind of want to go back, get the right stakeholders in a room, and think about the vision for your company. And what I'd ask you to do is, once you got your stakeholders in the room, have them make 3 lists. And those lists are, what is the company vision or value proposition for these 3 entities, for the enterprise as a whole, for your employees, and then for your customers. And what you're going to find as you go through this exercise is that on each of those 3 lists, there are going to be a handful of items that appear on every single list. And that cross-section of that Venn diagram, where you've got commonalities across all 3, those are your most critical processes. Those are the processes that you really need to protect and really focus on as you think about the new ways of working. And then you take those processes and, brainstorm with your team. We've got access to AI. We've got access to Data Cloud. We've got the next generation of tools. What should be our ways of working? And I encourage clients, try not to think about, well, this is the way we do it. We've always done it this way. Or, specific names of people or titles. Try to kind of clear your mind of that and go back to basics and think about what is the most efficient workflow. And taking, a day out of your calendar to go through these exercises is going to shed a lot of light and really help you to start to think about, what changes you may need to make to your organization. Okay, so beyond that, some things around getting started. So you're hearing about these next generation of tools, you're getting excited, time to start thinking about your proof of concept or your POC. A couple things here. So first of all, we encourage clients to think about what your POC should be, but at the same time, don't get hung up on analysis paralysis. You've got AI tools. You've got the ability to create segments in Data Cloud. Just start building. You know, like if it's this big initiative and you want to get total buy-in and it's a huge thing, the huger of a thing it is, the more likely it is to get delayed, kicked down the road. Just start building. At the same time, I'll talk about out of both sides of my mouth. At the same time, as you're thinking about POCs, you know, you do want to think about things like what business problems can you solve? What customer connections can you better cement through better customer experience? What internal barriers can you break down? Again, these are tools that help you reimagine the ways you do marketing. So I would encourage you to think big. And when you've got some solid ideas for a POC, the next thing I would advise you to do is think about KPIs. You know, it's so important. What are some tangible KPIs we can put to our different ideas? You know, how many hours can you gain in efficiency for building through next-gen tools? What kind of revenue could you anticipate based on a more personalized experience? Some of this might be, you know, guesswork based on published KPI stats. Some of it might be guesses based on looking at your historical marketing performance. But, you know, even a guesswork of a KPI is better than no KPI. And having those KPIs in place before will first of all, help you choose the best POC for you, but then second of all, help you measure, because ultimately you're going to want to have those tangibles to you know, inform leadership and build from there. Okay, now getting started. If you haven't already, what you're going to hear is the word convergence when we have a conversation about Marketing Cloud Next, because, you know, convergence, the idea there is really that you can start, if you're using one of the legacy Marketing Cloud tools, you can add functionality from next-gen tools without having to think through, you know, you don't have to migrate. There are people doing amazing things in Journey Builder and Marketing Cloud account engagement. And the position of Salesforce is essentially, if you're doing great things and seeing great results, don't migrate just for the sake of migrating. But at the same time, through the Marketing Cloud Plus SKUs that I mentioned earlier, you can add on some of this next-gen functionality and test it and see how it can improve even what you're doing. You definitely will want to talk to your Salesforce account executive about licensing and credits. But to give you an idea of some convergence opportunities for you, so in Marketing Cloud engagement, the biggest application for convergence is to connect Journey Builder with Flow to create even more powerful, bigger, all-encompassing experiences, because Flow is connected across the entire Salesforce enterprise. So back to that, you know, that opportunity to do online and offline, all orchestrated through Flow. With Marketing Cloud account engagement, there are even more convergence opportunities because that tool already sits on CRM, right? So there's an opportunity to, for example, enable Data Cloud and connected campaigns. Also with Data Cloud, as you start to get into data graphs, gives you the opportunity to add personalization and cross-object merge fields and be able to personalize your messaging more than ever before. There's also that ability, again, depending on provisioning, but to go ahead and add that two-way conversational SMS. And then, of course, with both tools, start to explore Agentforce. You know, that's available, and, you know, as I said earlier, definitely just start to turn it on, start to use it, start to learn from it. And then I wanted to address enablement path. During the session last week, there were a lot of questions that came up around getting enabled, certifications, et cetera. So I wanted to give my perspective on the best enablement path. And, you know, and by the way, step one, come to cool webinars like this one. So congratulations, you're already on the enablement path and you're an early adopter. So good for you. So that's great. There's a lot of great resources out there in terms of thought leadership, blogs, How to SFMC, which is co-sponsoring this webinar series. They have an amazing Slack channel, amazing YouTube channel. But in terms of Salesforce formal training, getting started with Marketing Cloud Next, whether you are already using legacy tools or if you're brand new to all of it, this is the sequence that I would recommend. So I would start with Data Cloud training and ultimately certification. Data Cloud is so fundamental to everything that you're going to do as a marketer with this solution. And you will learn through this training really important concepts around one common data model, around how do we build segments, how do we do identity resolution, how do we use data graphs for personalization. So that's a super important place to start. Secondly, if you're not already an expert at Salesforce CRM, I would work towards your Salesforce admin certification. If you are new to CRM, there are a lot of concepts that you're going to want to be very familiar with. And even around, just navigating around the system and understanding how the data relates to each other is going to be very important. And then flow is a super important topic, and that you want to feel very, very confident in. From there, I would then go into Trailhead and take advantage of the trails that have been created on Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced. There's quite a bit there already. To my knowledge, there's not yet been announced a Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced certification. Folks chime in if anybody knows anything that I don't. I would imagine that's coming at some point. But even without there being a certification, there are some great trails. So that's a great way to learn. And then I would round everything out with Agent Force training. There's a great series on Trailhead called Agent Blazer. And the more trails that you go through, you can go from Agent Blazer Champion, Innovator to Legend status. And once you've achieved Legend status, you are ready to take your AI Specialist certification if that's something that's important to you. So that is my recommendation. I hope that's helpful. And then just to close it out with a little more Star Trek, these next generation tools are really a way to think about marketing in a whole different way. And marketing ultimately through these tools becomes more than marketing. It becomes all around a bigger customer experience initiative around every touch point that your customer has with your organization. So I would encourage everyone to keep learning around these tools, use the tools, think bigger, do more, and you'll perform better. So with that, we can open it up to some questions.
Can you say that again, but like doing the Star Trek like sign while you say?
There we go. You got it?
Yeah.
Think bigger, do more, perform better, and live long and prosper.
There you go. Love it. Thank you, Julie. That was awesome. Great presentation. I was writing down a couple of questions on the chat, so I was hoping I can go over them and then you can tackle each one. But if anyone has any more questions, just put them in the chat. Brandon asked, when you were talking about change management, there is a one-pager for change management related to Marketing Cloud Next?
Oh, not at hand. However, Brandon, definitely can contact me through the ListEngage website, and I'd be happy to create one for you.
Awesome. I'm gonna kind of summarize. Bilal asked a question. He says, I'm a developer at a service-based Salesforce partner. I'm asking my manager, all of this, will be too much. Can I learn the tech first? I need to learn the tech first. So I guess I'm gonna try to summarize a little bit. The question is, what, on this situation, what comes first? Like, do you need to master the technology so you are able to answer the questions about the business, or is it the opposite, right? Or is there a balance? What is your take there?
Yeah, although it might sound like a cop-out answer, I really do think it's a balance, right? The technology and the strategy are like two strings of a chord on a guitar, and you really have to have both in sync. So maybe it's a project across different team members collaborating and coming together is one way you could tackle it.
Love it. Yeah, I agree. I think that two things can be true at once, right? So, David, well, I think there are a couple of questions around like sandbox for MC Plus and connected to a Salesforce sandbox or MC Next sandbox. So I don't know if you want to tackle that one.
Well, I will tell you that look for the release notes that were published on the 15th, because sandboxes are addressed. There's some nuances there, but yeah, sandboxes are now available.
Great. Trying to see. Devin asks, will MC Next be available as part of MC contracts to migrate off of?
Yeah, so that you'll want to talk to your account executive on all questions around contracts and licensing. You know, from what I've seen, account executives have quite a bit of leeway. You know, in this advent of next gen tools and Marketing Cloud Plus SKUs, there's a lot of leeway to structure renewals in new ways. So if there's a desired feature you're looking for, talk to your account executive. They can, you know, they'll be the source of what they can and can't do. And again, you know, Salesforce is encouraging you to think about it less as a migration and more of a convergence. Keep doing what you're doing that's working well, but add on some of these new features.
Kyle asked a good question, I think. It says, any tips for getting leadership on board with the potential of Marketing Cloud Next?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think it's all about the value proposition and the KPIs. You know, I referred to, as you're thinking about your POC, make sure they have tangible KPIs, because from a leadership perspective, honestly, if you can show in black and white numbers that we'll be able to improve efficiency by a certain percentage, or we expect our revenue generated from marketing to exceed a certain threshold, I mean, that's what leadership wants to hear. And I think if you can make a case for that, that's the best way to get buy-in.
Yeah, I think also you touched on a point earlier about conversions versus migration. I think the term migration, for anyone who's been in the Marketing Cloud space, can be very daunting, you know, to think about that. But if you think about how can we adopt this new generation of platforms as we continue with our current investment, that could be a really good also point to get leadership on board. You know, we're not migrating, we're not having a stopgap, we're like adapting these new platforms as we continue with the journeys we have set up and whatnot. So
totally agree. That's a great point. The word migration is scary for leadership, right? Sounds expensive.
Yeah, sounds expensive. Alex, are you keeping super messages or being replaced with Data Cloud like credits?
I have not personally heard of super messages as a concept going away. Folks, please chime in the chat if there's information that I'm not aware of. Data Cloud credits are something in the new world that you will have to think about, as well as Einstein credits. However, yeah, your best bet is to talk to your Salesforce account executive to really get an understanding of what that is going to look like for your organization.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet. Each contract and each business is going to have a different, you know, setup. So the best is to talk about this with the account exec. I once did a presentation on Data Cloud at a conference about how to get the free edition of Data Cloud, and I guess like a lot of customers, started asking their AEs, "Oh, how can I get the free edition of Data Cloud?" And I got kind of in trouble with some of the AEs, but I think that's the best bet. It's just each contract, each relationship with your AE is going to be different, so you need to check back with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have some, again, like a developer account for remember for MC Next or or those products? I mean, I don't think this been announced right yet, any type of dev account for Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced or whatnot.
No, I agree. I have not heard anything specifically.
Yeah, so we need to wait on that. The hopes are good because, again, being the platform being on the core platform, just think about now you have access to an Agentforce or with a developer, or you can use Data Cloud. So the hopes are big because, again, the platform being on the core platform sounds like it would be a logical step, but we don't. We just have to wait and see. Could be, Josh asked, could be a question for Salesforce AE, but do you happen to know if there is a need to do any sort of migration work, specifically upgrades from NCE to MC Plus, such as, okay, so he's asking if you get the MC Plus SKU, do you need to do any type of migration, such as IP warming, or anything like that?
I mean, there's just at face value of that question, not considering any extra outside circumstances like, oh, we are getting a new business unit with a new SAP or anything like that. I wouldn't imagine that there would be. The convergence with MCE and MC Next is really all about that flow triggered journey piece and the ability to orchestrate and daisy chain multiple journeys. So no, I don't have clients who have done it yet, but at face value, I don't anticipate that there would be any need for any sort of migration or major overhaul.
Yeah. So I think, I agree. I think the concept of MC Plus is being able to see within, being able to connect within Marketing Cloud Advanced, being able to see the journeys that are part of a campaign in advance, but also like in a flow, being able to say, hey, put this person in that journey that is in Marketing Cloud Engagement. So if, and basically it allows you to, if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to send this type of emails, start sending them from Marketing Cloud Advanced. Again, I haven't yet gone through the exercise myself, but I have to imagine you probably have to think about if you are connecting I suppose if you are connecting a domain that is already sending from Marketing Cloud Engagement, I don't know if you will need to necessarily do IP format. We'll have to go through that empirical exercise to see if you can reuse the same sending domain that you have in Marketing Cloud Engagement, then you don't need to do IP format because it's all about the sending domain. But let's say you're going to connect a new domain in Marketing Cloud Advanced and you start sending emails, naturally, you're going to have to do. But if all you are doing is basically exploring the features of Marketing Cloud Advanced, using Flow, using Data Cloud to create segments, but you keep doing your email sends and journeys in Marketing Cloud Engagement, you don't need to do any IP warm-up or migration,
Pato, it sounds like you talked yourself from a no to a yes on that answer, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that we're all going to test and learn together. And we're going to keep coming together on these weekly sessions. And maybe, Pato, that's an item to continue to talk through and keep each other updated on.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to read a couple more questions. Great questions, by the way. Thank you for asking Julia these questions. How can we convince a client to use Marketing Cloud Next if they ask what extra value they will get from the same amount of money, from the same investment, basically? How can we prove the point, or whatnot?
Yeah. I know clients, there's a lot of confusion, right? And clients may feel like, oh my gosh, another set of tools to learn, and it's daunting and it's challenging, and what is my incentive to go down this, what sounds like a long, difficult path? And it's not like an easy thing to prove out, right? It's not like, oh, it's got this one whistle and bell that you never had before. It's a bigger opportunity that's going to require a bigger conversation, because this is an entrance into a new way to do marketing that's encompassing of the entire organization. So, I mean, I would try to have that conversation with the leadership at an organization, right? If you have a relationship with the CMO versus the marketing manager, for example, I would try to get in with the CMO and do some strategic planning at that level, because I think that the gains are going to be longer term and encompassing of an entire organization versus, the email department. So that's where I would start if you can. I think at another way to position this is, if you're working with a client that is very technology forward, the reality is now that there's this next gen set of tools, we're going to see more innovations and development in these next gen tools than we are in the legacy tools, right? There's been no sunset date announced for MCE or MCAE, and so they will continue to be updated, and we're going to see releases and so forth. However, with Marketing Cloud Next, we're going to see that supercharged, right? We're going to see all of the agentic innovations, all of the new channels. Marketing Cloud Next is really where marketers want to be if they want to move faster and adopt more innovations faster.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's this is a good one. Well, I don't know. In Marketing Cloud Next, will there be an option for custom activities that are made based on integrations with another platforms like Airship?
Yeah, well, so of course you can continue to use Journey Builder and custom activities and connect them to Flow in Marketing Cloud Next. In terms of a custom activity inherent to the new tools in Flow, I think stay tuned, right? I think we're going to see a lot of announcements at Dreamforce next month. I think that we're going to continue to see, just as we have with Data Cloud, how they have quarterly releases, and every quarter there's lots of great new functionality announced. This is the platform, as I said, that we're going to see a lot faster innovation. So I think stay tuned. Like, I would not be surprised if we see this soon.
Yeah. And there is, there's probably definitely going to be a good market for App Exchange solutions on this space. Today, within Flow, you can build your own custom property editors to kind of emulate that functionality of a custom activity. Again, it requires a lot of development, just like a custom journey build activity, but you can do it. Or, also like they're probably going to be available in the App Exchange in the future. That's the hope, right? I'm going to paste a chat there for Helen with like a developer doc for that, just for research more. So. Okay, well, we're at time. Thank you so much, Julie.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
All right, we'll talk soon. Stay tuned for the next session. Bye, everyone.